bother me. And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Marie Musi.
And our guest is Tim Warner, comedian, who I met at the Yippie Museum and Cafe. And so our ongoing series involving folks who I've met at the Yippie Museum and Cafe.
Well, that's because you're there all the time.
I know. I spend a lot of time there. Especially the Wednesday comedy nights, which are a lot of fun, and that's where I saw you doing your show. And now, what's interesting is that, Tim, you're really connected with and involved with Occupy Wall Street, because what I saw you, it was really a Occupy Wall Street related comedy show where I saw you.
Yeah.
And so, can you give us any reports on whatever happened to Occupy Wall Street? What's going on? Everybody asks me, where are they?
Yeah, everyone's been asking me too, and I don't know. I think it's at an interesting point right now, at least here in New York.
It's big down in Washington, right? I heard a lot of people went down there.
Yeah, they just did the thing on the 17th.
Occupy Congress, yeah.
And I don't know. I think Zuccotti Park is huge to the movement, or I don't even know what to the idea. I don't necessarily want to call it a movement.
But nobody wants to sleep outside in the cold.
Yeah, I think they do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I mean, why, I find it interesting, why have we been blessed with such an amazing winter so far? And I think it's because, the universe actually wanted people to keep protesting.
Today was incredible. It must have been 60 degrees today. It was a beautiful day. It would have been perfect Zuccotti Park Day.
Yes.
As I remember.
But it's very windy, and it's windier downtown. See, I'm from Louisiana, so I'm cold all the time.
Okay.
We understand that. Right?
But I think with the issue at hand, I think sleeping outside in cold is just a very minor thing to be doing down there. I myself at times try to do my parts, bringing them food, blankets, clothing, and things.
So did you sleep down there?
I slept a couple nights, nothing major.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
No, it's not. I mean, I was homeless for 9 months in New York, like 3-4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
So I know ways to get by, but when you have to sit in the elements, it definitely is a different game. But it's, in my opinion, it's a very worthy cause.
And also the bathroom is a big issue for middle-aged women,
Yeah, well, the places around there kind of would let you go to the bathroom.
Oh, well, McDonald's was fantastic. The problem for middle-aged women is they get up in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's more like finding a bathroom at 3 a.m. by yourself.
Right. Well, they should have let them have porta potties, although they get pretty funky if they're not cleaned a lot. But where are people right now? They've been staying at churches, basically, around town.
Churches, 60 Wall Street. It seems to be a point, but it's not as poignant and relevant as Zuccotti. Like, I can't tell you, how many comedians I brought down there, within the first couple months easily. And it's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, for some of them, it's good to be there and to see it and to talk with people and just hear ideas. And I've always told everyone, if you go down there, I don't care what you think of it. I don't care if you agree, disagree, but go down there, experience it, formulate opinion based on actually experiencing and not listening to, television or the media describe something that they're can't even think about being in touch with.
It was
let alone
interesting
understand.
to go down and talk to people because it was a totally accessible thing. You could sit there, you could be talking to anybody.
Yeah.
You could talk to somebody your own age, younger, older, male, female. There were just so many different kinds of people there, and pretty much people were very open. And so that was nice, to have a place where there was an actual exchange of ideas and something that theoretically everybody's in favor of, but in practice rarely happens in our culture, was wonderful, I thought.
Yeah, humans are a very interesting species, in my opinion.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Tim Warner, comedian. How did you decide on to go from homeless for 9 months in New York City to becoming a comedian? What were your influences?
My main influence was my grandfather, rest his soul. William D. Warner was probably the first gentleman that ever made me laugh. Very Henny Youngman, Jack Benny jokes. Tell my grandmother. He would do a lot of that. Hey, Timmer.
Did he play violin?
No, he didn't. But that's funny. That's funny.
Jack Benny.
just old school one-liners and so forth. And I just remember laughing a lot. And then I think around age, I was an only child. My parents did weird things like made me go to bed after Wheel of Fortune when I was a kid, which is like 7:30.
Now, where did you grow up? What part
Syracuse,
of the country?
Syracuse, New
upstate.
York.
Yeah.
Number 4 basketball team in the nation. Should be number 1. They made me go to bed at like 7:30. The sun, even in the summer when there's no school.
Wow.
So I would lay in my bed for like 3-4 hours and talk to myself and listen to the radio.
Right.
And I entertained myself a lot. And then around 10, 11 is when the parents started splitting up and the sadness came in, and I kind of had to battle the sadness. So I found ways to amuse.
I was just reading a thing in the paper today. It was an interview with Seinfeld, and the fact that he has not been seen that much. I don't know if you saw that article today in Daily News.
No.
Yeah, but he had that show about the married couples.
Right. What he was saying is that he hated.
He's producing.
He really doesn't want to. He said no comedian should be at the top. That a comedian, to really be funny, has to be at the bottom of society.
Oh, that's an awful thing to say.
I know.
I agree with your
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's like the suffering artist
Right.
syndrome, which is just like propaganda,
And he said he wants to restart his career in the middle.
Right. Well, he's pretty on top no matter what he does. He was highly successful in a show that's syndicated like mad.
Right. So it's easy to say that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say this. He's just talking out of his ass.
You can say that.
Yeah, there's no way. Start in the middle. That's just him trying. I don't know. I don't like any of that statement.
Well, what about the idea
that you have to suffer?
Come
on.
No, I don't
agree with that either.
I don't think any artist has to suffer, but I do think every artist has to experience as much as possible. So is there pain involved with that? Certainly. But there's also happiness. But that whole suffering thing, that's just romanticism, I think, of romanticizing artists and art. I don't know.
That's not your style.
I think you can be very happy and be an artist.
Oh, no, it was.
It was.
Yeah, for a very long time. For a very long time, I denied love of myself. For a very long time. And, that's when you get to the root of everything. And this was what excites me about Occupy Wall Street. This was excites me about the Mayan calendar. And I think, and this is why, I've had a lot of people, I've been tweeting a little bit less about Occupy Wall Street and Facebooking a little bit less. And people have been like, why are you doing so? Because I also think there's a bigger issue at hand. And this is just kind of the accelerator towards it, hopefully. And I think it's just having humans get together, start looking out for one another, start being there for one another. Big Brother ain't going to do it. We should have known this for years. But I think the bigger issue is, before we even get rid of the Federal Reserve, for example, or bring in a third party to run with the elections, or to have some more citizens maybe getting involved in the lower level of politics in their communities, we need to get the 99% together. Ideally, in my opinion, I would love to see the 100% get together. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. But I think the human consciousness is the bigger idea with all of this, because I think without us looking out for each other, the rest is doomed.
Well, by the way, we're live, and although I, for some reason, couldn't get it up on the screen, our number is 212-757-1538, 212-757-1538. We're here live with Tim Warner, and I'm Paul Durienz with Miss Joan Marie Musi, and we're here to take your calls. So, I'm keeping an eye out here. If I see it flashing, I'll be happy to take your questions. So,
and are we still on the 8-second delay? Don't forget
right.
that.
We're on 8-second or a few seconds delay anyway. So
causes a weird.
Turn your TV down when you talk to us. Yes, very important. Okay, good. Very interesting what you were saying about bringing people together, Tim. Yeah. Do you have a website or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I am timwarner.com. I had an amazing experience in my life not too long ago that you probably don't see talked about a lot. There was, I happened to smoke a substance that I don't know if it's necessarily a drug. I wouldn't call it a drug. It's the title of it is dimethyltryptamine.
DMT.
Yes, Yes.
Very aware.
I know what that is.
Okay, very
hey,
good.
we're old, honey.
Oh, good.
We know what all that stuff is.
Oh, very good. And any of you, I don't know if you're allowed to answer this, any of you ever done it?
Not me.
I tried it once back when I was in college.
Really?
I tried smoking, and it was I couldn't handle it. My lungs couldn't handle it, but a friend of
Yes,
mine.
it is very harsh.
I gave it to a friend of mine who had somehow had tougher
Delighted
lungs.
in it.
He had tougher lungs, and he did it all in one blast.
Yeah.
And he said it was an amazing experience. Yes.
It's the most.
It's a psychedelic, right?
Well, in a sense, but I mean, it's produced. You know, you go to sleep tonight, you start dreaming. Yeah, that's dimethyltryptamine being pumped in your brain.
They call it the God
Spirit molecule.
The spirit molecule, because the feeling that humans have towards like belief in God and religious and spiritual things is believed to come from natural production of DMT in your brain.
I touched perfection and became one with everything. Everything is just the energy of love. It's very simple. Love is an acronym for the light of vibrating energy. And I know that there's nothing to fear because the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. And I know that we can't hate deep down inside because the acronym for hate is a hypocritical attitude towards everything. It's all very simple. Whatever files you put into your computer, that's what you're going to see on the monitor. And it's all in energy. And that's why...
have you heard of Ibogaine?
No.
No, you haven't heard of Ibogaine? Oh, no, we can't go off into a whole Ibogaine thing. But I'll tell you, we'll give you all the information you need about Ibogaine. We've had plenty of programs. Most of our regular viewers know about it.
Okay.
Yeah, right. It's an African hallucinogen that has been shown to, in some people, pretty much cure their addiction to heroin and other drugs.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
And it's a powerful 3-day hallucinogenic experience. It's been studied in terms of DMT and other similar molecules. And it's illegal in the United States, but still used pretty widely around the world where it's legal. Actually, it's only really truly illegal in the United States, a few other places, but mostly it's legal. And when they give it to people who are addicted to heroin, they see amazing changes in their condition, and including no withdrawal when they detox.
That's fascinating. I could see that too because they've been doing some things with terminally ill people. With mushrooms and with small doses of DMT.
There's a long history of psychedelics used as an anti-addictive substance.
So
that would
they
make
used
sense.
LSD for alcoholism. They had all these tests of that.
How does that impact your comedy?
Oh, it's changed it completely. It's very hard to write a dick joke after you've touched perfection. After you become one with everything, it's hard to talk about pop culture. I could give two shits about Kim Kardashian or whatever stupid thing that humans are paying attention to distract themselves from real issues because that's what you got to feel and touch and be vulnerable. And above all, human beings, in my opinion, do not want to be open, do not want to be vulnerable because then they might feel and love and stuff. And I don't know.
Oh, so what do you think about Kim Kardashian?
I don't.
Well, she's a beautiful girl.
Yes, she is. Well, she fits an
You can't take that away from
She has an
her.
hourglass figure. But you critiqued her.
Beauty is in the mind is a perception. I'd like to meet her because I bet you after a 2-minute conversation I would find her the ugliest human that probably walks this earth.
Oh, maybe not.
I bet you.
So have you heard of Bill Hicks before?
Certainly. Without a doubt. My influences, I would say, the Mount Rushmore of comedy. Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Bill Hicks. And I would nominate Stanhope. I would nominate Stanhope as that as well. Mm-hmm. Truth tellers. It's a new edgy. I don't think sex jokes and swear words anymore are really edgy. I really think exploring ideas and being truthful now, for some reason, seems to be a little bit more, acceptable. I think now, at least in New York City. In Long Island, I went out there and featured, and, I got heckled with, why are you trying to make us think? It's 11 o'clock, which my reply was I didn't know thinking had a curfew out here in Belmore, but apparently it does. But it seems like there just seems to be something happening in our existence on this planet. I really feel that there is some sort of shift happening. This isn't just a New York City thing or just a city thing. This is not only just an American thing.
You think it's like the 60s?
It's all over the world. See, that's something I can't say. I wasn't here.
Oh, how old were you in the 60s?
I was still in my dad's scrotum.
Oh,
at that
okay.
time.
So
I was born
you were
in
born in the
78.
70s. Oh, the late
Yeah,
70s.
yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you missed that then.
Yeah, I know. I knew.
Well, this has some similarities. The immediate.
Okay, Paul is speaking as someone who was 10 in the 60s.
Well, no,
but I remember I caught the tail end of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and
that's the 70s, Paul.
Right, but it was a lot of the same people.
That's 10 years later.
Right, it was a lot of the same people were still around, and one thing I noticed was in 1974, actually, was when Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford, who had become the president, and therefore he wasn't going to be put on trial for his crimes against humanity. A protest happened. I was told that it was announced that morning that he was going to pardon the guy, and I was told by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was going to be a demonstration. And, 20 people outside holding a sign or something, and I walked out there at 4 o'clock, and there was like 10,000 people there.
This is phenomenal.
And surging, not only surging, but the need of the local police to come out with like an army.
Well, that's one of the other things that Occupy Wall Street did, was it really like brought all the old people out of their houses. You know, they heard the revolution is back on, and they rushed out. And so people like Aaron Kay, I don't know if you met him, but I mean, people who were just seminal figures of the 60s suddenly had something to do again.
Yeah.
You know, they brought them right out of their depression over like having failed, to really change the culture that much. And that part of it's been great.
Yeah,
really
I agree.
Fun,
I agree.
to see all these people out there, like
when they had the march with all the unions.
Oh, that day was so much fun.
It was
I
so
had
beautiful.
such a good time that day.
Over the bridge, when we took over the bridge that
No,
night?
the unions.
The first.
No, it's after the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, it was after the Brooklyn Bridge. They had all the unions.
At
It was
Foley
the first
Square.
time. Yeah,
Right.
all the unions
But then,
came together.
On the 17th, after they evicted us, 2 days later, on November 17th, they had another huge, and all the union. I don't know if it was.
No,
union
we're
called,
talking
No,
about the
this
other
is-
one
Right,
in
yeah, I know
Foley
what you mean.
Square.
Yeah,
and I got to
that
march
was-
into Zuccotti Park with the Indigenous Peoples
Oh,
Brigade.
yeah.
Me and Dimitri, and it was really fun. We had such a good time that day.
There was a lot of old minds there.
It was great.
With new perspective on things that I really took a lot out of. I had some great conversations with people, and I implore you. I would say, if any of you people, if you really need a revolution or some kind of renaissance, come to a show. I'll be more than happy.
Right.
To feel that fire.
What's the comedian's role in this? I mean, is it to skewer the establishment, to expose their?
No, Paul, the
weakness?
comedians are to make people laugh.
Right. So what is the purpose of their comedy?
What's the purpose of laughing?
As part of the revolution?
Well, first off, if you ever look at any Shakespearean play, a lawyer, politician, king, queen, huge monologues, a lot of babbling. The gesture always has very little dialogue, but yet says the most. And, if a comedian, in my opinion, does his job correctly, a comedian is a modern-day philosopher. And the only way
Well,
that
I don't
we can
think
get
every
a lot of-
comedian is a modern
No,
day
that's why I
philosopher.
said if a comedian does it correctly, if a comedian does it right, if he does it true to the art, it's a modern-day philosopher. There's a lot of dick and fart out there. But if you weed through the dick and fart, there's a lot of little Bill Hickses growing. There's a lot of little Lenny
Oh,
Bruces.
dear.
There's a lot of Carlins. There's a lot of Pryors. More than you think.
But isn't originality better than being a little Bill Hicks?
Well, what I mean by that is little truth-sayers. Non-dick and fart guys. Non-Gallagher. Non-Dane Cook. Non-Carrot Top.
Carrot Top's just thinking Carrot Top.
yeah.
Aw, but if someone makes people laugh, there's a value in that.
Okay,
There is.
certainly, I agree with you. But how much more of a value is there if someone's making people laugh with harder premises, with information, with something to make them think and to walk away from the experience other than just going, oh, I saw that guy and he was funny.
I don't think that's a put down.
Oh, I do in my profession. But, at the same time, I'm not really famous or anything either. So I've shot myself in the foot a lot with a lot of my ideals. But, to answer the question, I don't know what a comedian's role. I feel what my role is to show the hypocrisy and the ironies that I see in existence and point them out in a humorous way. So maybe, A, we can laugh at some of the ridiculousness that we take ourselves so seriously with. And then, I don't know, maybe eventually it might drop some seeds of thought, and maybe a little bit of change can happen, you know?
Well, it does. I mean, it crosses over. I mean, you could have an audience of people who come who might be reached in a way that they would not accept, let's say, if it was delivered to them in a professorial sort of way. I mean, you know, I found two types of people in the world: the one that are convinced and are moved by somebody who gets up and gives a boring speech, and the people who are moved by a joke or by a funny way of putting things or by a way that shows a certain amount of insight in a brief, in a flash, and
aphorisms.
Yeah, and I think that you can't always, like, you can reach people in even a place like you were just saying, Belmore, Long Island.
Yeah.
Right? You can reach people even in that crowd, I mean, who are maybe not as fertile as some communities, but are still, you know, willing to open, could be disarmed to think of an idea because it's involved with a laugh or something that they can identify with, or a thought or a feeling that they can identify with. Because it seems to me a lot of comedy, or, you know, good comedy makes me laugh, points out the foibles of life, you know, in such a way that it makes everybody laugh, sometimes of embarrassment. But but you know, and sometimes you can reach out to a person who comes from a different sort of background, you know, whose buddies are all firefighters and cops or something like that. But yet seems and knows there's something going on here that's not right. And then, you know, the other thing is, of course, whenever you're dealing with your country in time of war, in time of crisis, issues of are you tearing our country down in time of war? Are you against our troops in time of war? Are disarmed by pointing out the universality of the situation to people, and maybe they don't see us so much as you know, not patriotic or not for their precious country. You know what I mean? Yeah,
we're all stardust. You know, it's supernovas created this universe, and there's iron in our blood, which comes from supernovas. With all of this, everything, stardust, all of it. We're on a floating rock right now, man. That's in the middle of space. It's in the middle of the Milky Way, which is just, one of 100 billion galaxies in this universe, and it's still expanding, and just, really? And we're going to sit around with some petty differences. It's remarkably amazing how more people will concentrate on some dumb app on their iPhone than the bigger picture of how we are just all connected, and there's nothing but love. I don't know how else to say it.
Okay, Tim Warner, tell us let's give people a chance to check it out by telling folks your website. So Tim Warner, I am Tim Warner.
www.iamtimwarner.com.
Right. And are you appearing anywhere anytime soon?
I do a number of shows around the city. My calendar's on the website, and been starting to do a lot of festivals. I'll be down in North Carolina the first weekend of February, actually.
How's your reaction there when you're down in North Carolina?
Very good. So far, so good. I've been in Asheville. I did that last year, and Asheville's kind of like Austin, Texas, where it's blue, surrounded by a lot of red.
Right.
So they're a little bit more liberal there, a lot more artists there, but very receptive. I'm going to be up at Chapel Hill in a couple weeks, so I'm very curious, to see who comes out.
Well, North Carolina is a pretty sophisticated state, and the area where you're going to be is all the university area.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't concern myself that it's like a bunch of hicks or something.
No, but I'm just I'm very excited to have college students be access to them like that, especially of North Carolina, Wake Forest, Duke, all there. That
Wake
excites
Forest
me.
is in Winston-Salem.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Darn it. Raleigh-Durham, right outside of Raleigh-Durham. Is what?
Well, that's on NC State and Duke.
NC State, okay.
Yeah. Wake Forest is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay. I'm learning.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in North Carolina.
I know Wake Forest because it was part of the Big Ten, and when I was in Wisconsin, which of course is the
oh, wow.
Is that a sports thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Only we didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl. We went to the Rose Bowl. We didn't make it this year, but it was close. Next year we'll be there. All right. So last couple of minutes. what should people expect from your point of view, from your perspective? Not speaking officially.
Well, did you see what George Soros said?
Of what?
What did George Soros say?
He said that Occupy Wall Street is going to turn into violence in the street in the United States and a class war.
I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't surprise me at all. That's how they did it old school ways. You know, that's how this 1776. Civil War.
But you don't promote violence, right? If you're,
I don't promote violence, but I was down there a few times when cops decided to use batons and so forth on people, and that was something I didn't agree with. And you know, in an abusive relationship, there's only so much you can take, and eventually something is going to happen if no one's listening. So hopefully these people start opening their ears. I think the SOPA thing that just happened was fantastic. I think how Congress people started bouncing out of that. I think those things are good signs. Let's hope they don't do it again and they got the message.
Well, what would you say to Newt Gingrich? I was watching Newt Gingrich during the debate.
Yeah.
And I watched him a couple times. Now he's a rising star and might very well get the nomination. It's interesting to watch him in action, and he has become, from the very beginning was one of the arch enemies of Occupy Wall Street, and also claiming that would end in violence, but in a different sort of violence. So one, I imagine, where his forces of Newt Gingrich will crush the forces of Occupy Wall Street in his dreams. But with that coming out, I mean, how would you face a president like Newt Gingrich? Let's say if he was to be elected. I'm not saying for sure. And it's always possible.
Yeah, I watched those debates last night. It was like Mo, Larry, Curly, and Shemp, and we're all voting for Shemp. Not even the original one. I don't know. I think this is the worst group of people, including Barack Obama, that we've had to choose from. I mean, it's not even. You want to talk about voting now?
I want to focus. We have half a minute. Barack Obama.
My opinion?
Yes.
Dude, he's like the rest. Every president is told from when they get elected what exactly they're going to do. He's just a puppet man like the rest. The next one that comes in will do the same agenda until we come in and change this two-party BS system that is just the same guy holding up everything going, yeah, here, we need this done.
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul looks nice up front. I think he's very disappointing on the inside. There's some things about him that are very scary, but even though he says things about the Federal Reserve and says things about free drugs and all of this, there's some underlining things there we need to be very weary of.
All right, Tim Warner, thank you for joining us on Let Them Talk.
Yeah, dude, thank you guys. This is awesome.
All right.
We'll see you next week.